Hi, I'm Sandra Park. I'm the Executive Director for United Suburban Schools Association. We represent the largest school districts in the state of Oklahoma, as well as over 350,000 students in our state. Our funding crisis has never been as dire as it is today. We're asking you for support and advocacy for public education so that we can provide better services and more resources for your students. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Thanhha, and I'm a junior. Will the budget cuts impact the safety of our schools?
Safety, obviously, in today's age, that's one of our priorities. And fortunately, with our community here in Moore, we have passed 2 bond issues over the last 3 years, and there has been money built into the bond issues to take care of safety and security of our students, and that will continue.
So we had plans of maybe having more resource officers, having a better technology for school entrances, more security gates at some of our high school parking lots. So those things are going to have to be put on hold immediately.
We have safety officers. We have 5 sheriffs that work in our schools. That has been funded by a COPS grant, and that grant ends this year. And so we are really looking at not only having to pay what we've been paying, but paying more to be able to maintain those 5 people in our school system. When you have budget cuts, that's going to make that much more difficult.
Probably my biggest fear of anything that I have as a superintendent, I want to make sure that our kids and our staff are safe every single day. So that's one of the last things that I want to cut. But we're looking at budgets for security and safety and all of those things that may have to be cut back.
Hi, I'm Jordan. I'm a senior. What happens if my school district can't pay its bills?
If you can't pay your bills, what happens is you have to levy a tax against the taxpayers. You have to basically go out there and see if your taxpayers are willing to pay the difference of that. Horrible situation. There's also that thought process is that if you starve a school district out, basically they have to consolidate. So, a lot of us are really in that state of, is this the plan? To consolidate schools, starve them out, and not give them a choice.
When a district can't pay its bills, first it goes into non-payables, and so you have non-payable warrants. Basically, you're taking out a loan to try to finish paying. Most districts are predominantly teaching staff in what they're paying for, and so you take out those loans to be able to pay that. But ultimately, for a lot of schools, they may have to close their doors.
My name's Jordan. I'm an 11th grader, student athlete. Is cutting athletics from the school day going to help our district save money?
Absolutely. At this point, we're looking at all options. I mean, I think having athletics outside of the school day is something that, we must consider.
Having athletics outside of the school day would, in fact, save the school district money. That was one of the programs we looked at early on, but at this point in time, we're going to keep it in the school day.
I know there are a lot of students that if athletics isn't tied to their classes, they may not continue to go to school anymore. I'm concerned about those students who may drop out if they don't have a reason to come to school, and for some of those it is for athletics. But yes, it could save us some money, and it is something being considered.
Absolutely, it's a way that any district can save money, particularly in Yukon where we have so many sports that occupy so many teachers. In the springtime last year, our district alone spent $325,000 on substitutes for the school year. Now, not all of that is athletic related, but springtime in particular, I think we spent approximately $200,000 on substitutes.
My name is Garrett and I'm a senior. Is our district considering going to a 4-day school week?
Our leadership team here in Moore, that it is not what is best for kids. What we need to do is get away from the conversation of talking about a 4-day week, going back to our 5-day week, and having the legislature fund public education and doing what we need to do for our children in the state of Oklahoma.
Broken arrow at this point, we've got all options on the table. It's not a scare tactic. It's really what it is basically really doing what's fiscally responsible for now and into the long term.
We don't think it is the most instructionally sound practice, but if the cuts continue to come and we are placed in the position where we have to make really, really critical choices, then that definitely becomes an option.
I never thought that we would consider a 4-day week, but it is something on the table now at Coweta schools, something that we'll continue to study to see if it's feasible for us to save enough money to save some teachers to keep our class sizes as small as possible. I don't think that it's the best thing for the education of our students, but if it means that we have smaller class sizes, it's the lesser of two evils.
Hi, I'm Kelsey. I'm a junior and I'm a fine arts student. Will budget cuts include cuts to fine arts programs like drama and choir?
Fine arts is something that's very, very vital to a high school student, and at this point, those programs will be spared at this point.
Budget cuts will impact drama and choir primarily through resources and supplies, probably also through travel and competition. Those are the things that would first be cut.
Hi, I'm Savannah and I'm a senior. I've heard on the news that they're taking tax dollars and using them at private schools, and I was wondering what happens to students who don't want to leave their current school.
When you talk about educational savings plans or vouchers, that is definitely going to take money from public funds to private schools. There's no question. Our problem is they're not increasing the funds to education. And so you're going to take the same amount of funds and add more students in, those that are being homeschooled, those that are in private schools. And so that money will be divided out among more students. If you have $100 and you divide by 10 students, you've got $10 each. If you have $100 and there's 11 students, then you've got $9. Well, we've got about 10% of our population that are in home schools or private schools, and those students will be eligible for that same single pot of money.
If the voucher education savings account bill is passed, we will be having a very difficult conversation. That's additional revenues that will be coming out of our general fund expenditures, and we will be looking at programs, fine arts, athletics, all across the board.
Money will come away from public schools. Even if we have no students in Coweta who go to a private school, who take voucher money away and go to a private school, even if zero from Coweta go that direction, we will lose money at Coweta Public Schools because of these education savings accounts.
When we're talking about education savings account, the inequity of accountability is something that's rarely mentioned, but it is very big. The state schools have to have accreditation. We have to take reading tests and math tests and end of instruction tests, and we get an A through F report card. The private schools don't have to do that. They have to be state accredited, as we do, but that's where the accountability stops.
I'm Jacob, I'm a junior, and my question is, will the budget cuts affect band practicing before and after school?
We're going to have to look at some things with our band and all of our activities. You know, it's always interesting when you begin to look at what we do. Engagement of students is really why we're here. And what's sad about that is we're going to have to start talking about those kinds of activities and what we're going to have to do with them in the future to survive these cuts.
I don't really think it'll interrupt our practices at this time, but what it will do is it will limit the money that we can give to band for things like instruments and uniform.
Well, since I have two of my own children who are in the high school marching band, I know that you guys are practicing before school starts, before the sun even rises, and there are a lot of times where certain times of the year you're practicing with the stadium lights on. I can't guarantee you that we're going to be able to let you continue to turn those lights on without someone paying that bill.
Hi, I'm Kayden. I'm in 4th grade. How would I get home from school?
We've got to get our kids to school, and that is the only means of getting certain students to the schoolhouses, and that's what we're going to continue to do, and we will provide transportation this next school year.
I might have to cut some bus routes. So some of the kids who have ridden the buses that live 1.5 miles away from school or less, and that's a lot of kids in Coweta, we may end up cutting those bus routes so that we can save some teachers' jobs.
If the situation continues, we'll have to look at it. I know that there are other schools in the state that have already proposed that, everything but special education buses, because that's a mandate that we have to do. It's just going to be sad when we're not able to have enough money to get a child whose parents work full-time or whose parents can't afford transportation, that we can't provide a bus for them to get back to school.
Transportation is not required by state law. It's also not received an increase in funding since 1980. All districts receive about 10% on the dollar of what it costs to get kids to school. But if you don't have transportation, students can't get to school. We all have many families that cannot provide the transportation to get their children to school. Transportation is definitely one of the things that will be on the chopping block for many school districts. At this time, it's not there for ours, but it is definitely one of the line items that we continue to look at.
Hi, I'm Peace and I'm a senior. How will budget cuts affect electives?
We'll lose a lot of electives. We will lose some electives at least. And in those electives, we'll have larger class sizes. There'll be fewer offerings. Some classes that students enjoy taking, we won't be able to afford to have anymore.
We are actually looking at staffing at this point in time, and we will see some closures of some of our electives. If the classes don't make with a certain amount of students, those sections will be closed. Over the past few years, that's not been the case. We've allowed those to continue, but this next year will be look very different in regards to electives.
Hi, I'm Ashton and I'm a junior. What will our class sizes be like in English Comp and Algebra 2?
Okay, when you're looking at English Comp and Algebra 2 in Deer Creek, we anticipate 2 to 4 more students in a class.
My name is Morgan. I'm in 3rd grade. How many students will be in my class next year?
Probably estimate in the next 2 years, you're going to be looking at 30 to possibly 35 kids in an elementary classroom if the funding is not there for us to pay for teachers.
And that's been really hard on Broken Arrow because we've always kept low class sizes. That's been a thing that we've always really prided ourselves in. And that's kind of one of those things that I think you've got to look at those issues one at a time. And so I will probably start at the elementary level and make sure that we have smaller class sizes at the elementary, and then probably take from the secondary.
Class sizes will continue to grow over this next school year. We work in a school district where 94% of our general fund expenditures goes to personnel cost, and when we face significant cuts, that trickles down to the classrooms, and that's what we're going to be looking at.
So now instead of having 20 in your classes like we did just a few years ago, we have closer to 25 to 27 students, and I would think next year it's going to be pretty common for you to have 30 students in some of your elementary classes.
Hi, my name is Jenna. I'm in the 5th grade. Will my field trips be canceled?
Field trips, yes, will probably be cut because it's one of those things that it's additional. I mean, you know, when you look at field trips, it's supposed to enhance the curriculum, and that's an easy thing that we can cut. It's not going to, you know, probably yield much money, but it also, every single cent really does count in this process. So,
as a result of the budget cuts that we've already endured or faced this school year, we've already had hard conversations in relation to field trips, and if those are not completely funded through a grant or through a local PTA, field trips have been cut.
And now we will probably cut almost all field trips out. We'll see if there's a way that we might be able to throw a few in, but it's very doubtful.
I'm Logan. I'm a junior. I hear that it's already hard to hire teachers in Oklahoma. What does this now mean for our district?
It's definitely very difficult to hire teachers. When you are last in the region and nearly last in the nation in terms of the pay to teachers, that alone is a difficult strike. When you combine that with all the many evaluations and regulations that we've placed on teachers and all of the things that they have to do with no funding for resources, it has really lowered the number of teachers that want to teach in Oklahoma.
Last year in Broken Arrow alone, we could not find 10 teachers when we started the year, and that is really different for us. I mean, because we hire anywhere from 120 to 150 teachers a year, and it's a place that people want to come to. So we even saw this last year being very difficult to hire teachers.
They can't make a living. It doesn't make sense for them to go get a 4-year degree and then qualify for food stamps, but that's exactly what would be happening. Because of that, other people are seeing those same sorts of situations. They're not going into education. They're not sending their kids or their best students into education, so it's harder and harder to find good quality people who are willing to take a job that requires a college degree and not get paid to do that.
Hi, my name is Truong. I am a junior, and my question is, what will happen to all of the teachers who are new and who teach electives that are currently being cut.
Fortunately, in this school district, we're large enough that we can handle most of that through attrition. And if we've got teachers out there here in Moore that want to be in Moore, we will continue to work and find them positions for this next school year through our staffing initiative as we move forward.
Some of the newest teachers will be the first ones to lose their jobs. And we have some great young teachers. And unfortunately, some of them, they will lose their teaching job.
Those teachers won't have a job. And they're going to be out looking for a job at a time when other schools would like to hire but are going to have difficulty hiring. And especially in the elective areas, those are going to be difficult positions to find. And so we're going to find that our great teachers, some of our young great teachers, are going to go to Texas, Kansas, Colorado, where they will make half again as much. And at that point, will probably not return.
Hi, I'm Sebastian. I'm in 5th grade. What happens if we can't afford new technology?
Everything stops. If you look at any student today, that's what they need. That's the transformation of education in general is technology. I mean, they come as natives to us. I mean, they've never, if you look at the kids that were born in the late 90s, they don't know anything different. They've always had a cell phone. They've always had technology that's been a part of them. So if technology ever stops, I think we're not giving our kids what other kids across the country are receiving.
One of the problems with not being able to add to technology progressively year to year is that it changes rapidly. And so the cost of recovery will be much greater as you move down the road. Our students today in college are operating all off of laptops and iPads. If we're not preparing them for that, we're not preparing for college. It's critical that we get the networking in place and that we get the tools in the hands of our students.
If we are stifled with technology, we fall further and further behind the other countries and other states in our union.
Hi, I'm Addison. I'm in 3rd grade. How can parents and neighbors help?
Contact their legislators, call them, email them, go visit them at the Capitol. It makes a big difference when people will put a face to a name and know that you are there to educate them, but also that you will vote and that your parents will vote, their friends will vote, your grandparents will vote. It's very important for the legislators to be able to know that people are willing to vote and vote them out of office if they don't support public education.
It's critical that they email and write their legislators and let them know that public education is important.
Getting up to speed on the information is very helpful, and then taking that extra step by talking to your legislator, talking to that House of Representative or a senator that you know or happen to know, because it's very, very important that they get engaged and really get involved in this conversation.
Hi, my name's Connor and I'm a senior. How can students get involved?
Hello, my name is Matthew and I am in 3rd grade. How can students help?
And they can contact their representatives just like their parents can. Children really get the ear of adults, probably more than adults do. Because where you have one child, generally you have 2 or more people in the adult realm that are going to be on their side, that love those kids, whether it's grandparents or parents. So when they get involved and they talk to their parents, they can really affect the process.
Students can talk to their parents, they can become educated themselves about the whole process, and they can speak to their legislators. And when it comes to public education, I encourage our students to call our legislators. Even if they're not voting age right now, they will be soon, and their parents are, so they will listen.
I think it's very important that students get involved and that students talk to their legislators. Students can write their legislators. Students can call. Students can go to the Capitol. Our legislators work for all of us. They're elected by all of us, and I think it's important that as they become seniors, they register to vote and that they vote.
It's about us.
Help us, please.
Act now. Action.
Change starts with you.
We're all in this together.
It's about our education.
It's about me.
Help our teachers.
It's your decision. What will you do to help?
It is your choice.
It's about me.
Please take action.
It's about me.
We need your support.
It's about me. It's about me.
It's your choice.
It's about me.